is the end of September, and I am so very happy because the weather is a lot cooler even than just the beginning of this month, and autumn is truly here. I'm very much an autumn person. The end of September also means that it's nearly October, which means also that it is nearly my birthday. And while I don't go out and paint the town red or, you know, do anything particularly rambunctious, I do enjoy having some time off and doing some things with family, friends, other half and that kind of thing. So I am very much looking forward to having a couple of weeks off in October just to rest and recharge, and also to make some socks because I've had quite a large order from one of my colleagues, which I will get into later. So let's have a look at September. So the first thing here is the shawl that I started in August, and it went so well. I really, really like this shawl. It feels lovely on and it looks really nice. The pattern is one that I worked out from looking at a picture of something that someone had posted in, I think it was a Facebook group, and it's gone really well. I'm actually really surprised how well it went. It just took a long time to make because it's quite big, and that can be a bit tedious. So I think it might not have taken me as long to make if it hadn't felt quite as tedious. Because of the way that it's made from the shoulder down. It starts off at a small bit and then the rows get longer and longer, so they get longer and longer to make. But it's gone really well, it's really nice, and I still have a couple of the balls of yarn of this same one in different colours left over, so I haven't decided what I'm making with those yet, but there is a strong possibility that it'll be more shawls. Or possibly like cardigan or bolero or something of that nature, but it has to be something that is made from the top down, no sleeves sort of thing, so that the colour change works correctly on it. The next thing that I started, and I haven't finished it yet, is a cowl slash scarf, but I think I am going to frog it and stop working on it because the yarn that I'm using and the pattern that I'm using and the size of the needles, the way that the colour is working out on it, I'm not a big fan of it. It looks very clowny. I'm very, very much not a fan of clowns. And I know that I won't wear it if I finish it. And I feel like it'll be a waste to not have something I use. I could give it away to someone, but I really like the yarn. So most likely this will get frogged and rewound, but I haven't done that yet. Then I made a fingerless glove with this soggy kookaburra yarn. It's worked out really well and it's really nice. This is probably my favourite thing that I've made this month. So it's based on a pattern from Fruit of the Loop, which I found on Pinterest. But the shrug is part of a two-set pattern for a Totoro style outfit. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. So in the original pattern, the shrug is grey, and then there's a white top with like V-stitch patterns in to make it look like Totoro. I've never watched the anime, so it's not something I wanted to make because it looks like Totoro. I just really like the look of the shrug, because if you've been watching any of my videos this year, you'll know that I've been on a mission to find cardigans, sleeves, that kind of thing that I can wear with the dresses that I wear so that I can cover my arms, but still wear these sleeveless dresses that I have. And it looked really nice, so I bought the pattern. I mostly followed it, but did deviate in a couple of places. So the pattern itself doesn't go up to my size, but is quite a free size. Like, it does cover a lot of sizes. So I used slightly larger knitting needles with a DK yarn. DK yarn is what they suggested anyway, but I've gone with, instead of 5mm needles, I used 6mm needles, which gave a slightly bigger gauge, but it absolutely fits, and that's fantastic, because if it didn't fit, I was going to give it away to someone, but it does fit, so I wear it. The other thing that I did differently was I picked up stitches around the armholes rather than knitting the sleeves separately and sewing them on, because I hate sewing things together when I've knitted them already because my brain goes, I have finished this sleeve, therefore it should already be attached to the piece that I'm doing. And the way that this pattern is done, it lends itself to picking up stitches quite well. That also means that the sleeves are a lot more balloony than the original pattern, but that's fine because I really like a baggy balloon sleeve and my arms are fairly big. I have started another one of these in purple. In fact, actually, I think it's the same purple as is here underneath my my notebook. Dad, if you're watching this video before you've opened your birthday present and you don't want to see what it looks like, look away. I know you're getting socks, but you don't know what they look like yet. So here they are. I really like this yarn, and I'm very, very glad to say that there is enough yarn left over that I can also make another sock for myself to add to my odd sock collection. This is not my usual sock yarn. This is from Attic Spin Dye, and they've got some really nice colourways that I have bookmarked on my Etsy to buy a few of. I've got another one waiting in the wings for a sock at some point for myself too. Which I'm very much looking forward to using because it looks so lovely. On this day, I wanted to make some things, but it was very, very, very warm and I didn't want to knit anything because of the heat. So I made a load of earrings, and these are available on my Etsy if you do want to buy them. I quite like amethyst. I'm a big fan of the colour purple, and I really like silver jewellery, so that's why I made all of these. And I really like moons in general, so it's a combination of a few things that I like. I did actually make an extra earring of this pair because of how I've stretched my earlobes in the past. It's hard to wear a normal pair of earrings, but I've got enough extra piercings in my ears that I can wear one earring. So I made one for myself. It was sort of basically the tester for making sure that I could construct them and they would hang nicely, and then I went and made the rest of them. So that should say 7 pairs of earrings plus one, but moving ever closer to Halloween, I had to make a decision on what I wanted to dress as for Halloween. Obviously, I know I don't have to dress up as anything, but I like doing it because I like making costumes. I like making things like little props and things like that. So the first thing that I made is some lembas bread in a leaf wrap. My idea for my Halloween costume is basically a hobbit. Not one from the films or anything like that, just a hobbit. One that is living in the Shire after the events of Lord of the Rings and the Hobbits films, books. So they would know of the existence of lembas bread because I am aware that it's not a hobbit food. However, I have absolutely no doubt that the hobbits will have brought back the idea of lembas bread and everyone will love the idea. So I made some lembas bread and a leaf to go around it. My idea is to have a picnic basket with various food related items in it. I haven't made any more food other than this yet, but I might make some like little bread loaves and maybe have some little jars with stuff in. I'm not sure entirely. It'll basically be my handbag for the day when I wear it. The next thing that I made is for my costume again, just a little dragon scale pouch to put things in. My thought is this is going to hold my fake, not real, pipeweed, because hobbits like pipeweed. I probably won't actually put anything in it, but it will be canonically what contains my pipeweed. I might just put some green yarn in there, like a ball of loosely ravelled yarn, just so there's something green in there. I'm going to borrow a pipe off my dad with a long stem, so that will look like the pipes that the hobbits use. And don't worry, Dad, I won't use it for smoking anything, especially not actual weed. And this is also for the costume. So this is like a boho vest type thing. I may scrap this, or not scrap it, but I may not use it for my costume, and I might use something else or make something else. But for the moment, this is what I'm going to go with. It took me quite a while to settle on what I actually wanted to do for this, purely because I couldn't find a pattern that I liked, And every time I started something thinking, oh, it'll turn out fine, I just really didn't like it. So I sort of ripped it back about 3 or 4 times. That's why there's a bit of scribbling out where I decided what I was going to do. And basically I found a picture on Pinterest. I do that quite a lot, finding a picture on Pinterest and going from there. Worked out how the pattern was done. It took me a while because it's a kind of method that I've not used before or not come across before. It did take me a couple of tries, but it worked out well. I'm quite happy with it. The armholes are really big, so that is one of the reasons why I'm considering maybe making something different, but a lot of it depends on time constraints, because I don't want to end up not having something to wear. So I'm not going to like scrap this or throw it away or anything. I may try and make something nearer the time, and if it doesn't work out, wear this anyway. But we shall see what happens in the end. For the rest of my costume, which I haven't started doing anything with yet, but the rest of my costume, I've got a chemise that I'm going to wear underneath, or I have ordered a sort of a loose fitting shirt from Amazon, but I don't know if it's A, going to get here in time, and B, actually going to fit me, because the size that I've bought, according to my size, should be correct and should fit me. However, I don't know if it's UK sizing or Chinese sizing. If it's Chinese sizing, it's not going to fit me. But I have the chemise as a backup if it doesn't arrive or it doesn't fit. And I'm also going to sew a skirt. I've got material for it. It's a really nice like forest green. I'm also going to sew myself an apron, which I'm making out of another chemise that I have, which doesn't really serve a purpose for me. When I bought it, I had the idea that I would wear it fairly regularly, but it's too cosplay and too costumey for me to wear it in general, and I'm actually more likely to use an apron if I'm doing housework or gardening or cooking, and I don't mind it getting grubby because it is something that's going to be washed fairly often anyway, so it will actually serve more purpose being an apron than it will a chemise, because at the moment it's just sitting in my wardrobe and gathering, well, not gathering dust because there's a door on it, but metaphorically gathering dust. When I have my couple of weeks off, I'm going to spend a day in front of the sewing machine sewing all these things together. Thankfully, having these couple of weeks off ahead of Halloween means that I can sit down for a day and just do sewing. This is the second shrug. As I mentioned earlier, I'm making it out of purple. I think it is the same purple that's on here. It might look differently in the light because of the page that this bit's sitting on, but I've got most of this done. I've got 1 and a bit sleeves to do, and then that's finished. And it's working out really nicely. The only difference with this one is that I've done a slightly longer ribbed section on the back, so the arms are even bigger than the other ones. But again, I really like the balloon-ness. I like a few extra stitches here and there. I've written 20 here, but that's wrong. I need to change that. It was 5 on the other one and it's 10 on this one, and not around the body. Anyway, this is a little experiment really. I don't know if I'm actually going to ever finish these or if I'll stop when they're very small, but basically it's trousers that are based on the same principle that the granny hexagon cardigans are based on. So the granny hexagon cardigans, you basically make a granny square, but it has 6 sides, so that when you fold it, it forms an L shape. And then you sew 2 of those together and that forms a body and the arm either side. With these being an octagon, you do a granny square, but it has 8 sides. So when you fold it, you end up with two legs and a waist. I will see if I can pick it up actually and show you. I've not done an awful lot of it so far because it's still quite small. So it might just end up being like a child's trousers, and I'll just give it to someone who has a child that wears trousers. So this is what it looks like. So you have 2 legs and a waist, and it's folded in half here, as you can see. So you fold, it's awkward to show really, not showing in person, but it's brilliant because it can go up to any size. So you basically just go as big as your waist needs, And then if you want a longer leg, you just add to the ends. Like once it's all sewn together, you just continue round the leg at the bottom. Or if you want to add in a side, you can add panels. It's quite good, and I'm quite intrigued to see how they turn out. I almost want to make them big enough for myself, but I feel like they might be a bit big. I don't know how often I would wear them, whether it would be practical or not, but I like the idea of it. Although I could make them in such a way that I can undo them again at the end and recover the yarn, so I'm not wasting it. But I really like the concept. Might work nicely with that variegated yarn I made that shawl of, the one from the beginning of the video. Like a loose palazzo pant almost. I don't know if that would actually work or not, but it's worth considering when I have the need for a new project at some point. And the latest thing that I have started is 6 pairs of socks. So one of my colleagues from the day job has started their Christmas shopping early and asked me for 6 pairs of socks. Probably quite a lot of October will be me making these 6 pairs of socks and also sewing my Halloween costume. So there might not be an awful lot of variation for October, but we'll see how things go. With having the couple of weeks off, I might get those socks bashed out fairly quickly. I don't want to make any promises though, because I don't want to force myself to try and do them too quickly, because they're going to be Christmas gifts, which my colleague has told me. So I know that I have, in theory, a lot of time in which to do them. I just don't want them to take too long to do, because she has paid for them up front. So I have got the money already. I know she's not going to run off with the socks without giving me anything. So finding the balance between getting them done in good time, but also not injuring myself by trying to do too much all at once. We'll see how things go. So that is September. Actually, I'm fairly far, oh dear, sorry, fairly far through my book. You can see the last thingy there. So I will be needing to move on to one of my new notebooks in the not too distant future. Although with it having 6 socks as one entry, I probably won't be doing it anytime soon. But I think probably maybe around about New Year I'll end up needing a new book. But I do have a stack of 5 or 6 notebooks waiting in the wings, so I should be all right for a couple of years, I think. Thank you for joining me on this journey through my journal, this journal journey, if you will. If you want to find me on any other social media, have a look in the description below. Everything should be there, and I'll see you next month.